9. We have, let's see, we would give you a couple of updates, 2 really interesting presentation that you would I'm sure you would learn a lot from. Before that, I know that our Executive Associate Vice Chancellor is here and she has to run to another meeting. So Cindy, if you have updates, do you want to go first, please?
Sure. So most of my updates are kind of HR related, if you will. You've probably already heard, but in case you hadn't, Prasant Mahaptra is our new Vice Chancellor for Research. He started July 1st in that role. So actively working with him to, it's a big complex organization, so onboarding and all of that fun stuff is underway. So if you have any complaints, contact Prasant. No. If you have complaints, you can also contact me. But if you have compliments, I would also recommend that you contact me or Prasant. So great communication both ways. We also have recruitments underway right now for a new executive director of our animal care program, the TRACS program. So that is underway. We are also going to be starting interviews for a new director of our IACUC staff. And we also have an associate director position open out at the IRB. So those are some of our higher level recruitments that are underway, at least in Office of Research. So filling lots of holes right now. I think that's all I have.
Good. Any questions? No questions. Okay, thank you very much.
I have to go to Sacramento.
Okay, so I guess we can keep moving forward. The first presentation would be by Meg Sperling from IRS, and this is the good IRS, and we were just talking about the history of IRS and how it started, which had to do with a major proposal from the campus involving lots of different units on campus. I remember we had lots of meetings over a year. It had to do with BSL-4 application, which there were a limited number of them across the country that they were going to be funded, and Davis was running for it too. And some of, I think maybe Alisa remembers, what the campus went through. Lots of meetings over a year, lots of writing by lots of different researchers, and then, end of the story is that we didn't get that proposal awarded. It was a good package, but during that process, the campus learned that to go for these major proposals, you have to have probably a unit that knows how to put good proposals together. And as a result of that, IRS was generated, and the director, who's still there, Cheryl, was appointed to work under Dick Messenger, who was Associate Vice Provost at the point. And the first, I believe, next member added to IRS was somebody who was stolen from sponsored programs, and that was Alisa. So, and over years, they have done magic, putting really nice proposals together. The way, we were talking about, when you are thinking about multi-PI proposals, each person has their own style of writing. And at the end, when you try to put everything together, unless if somebody who knows how to do these things reads the whole thing and make it a really nice story, it's very difficult for reviewers to understand what's going on and make the award. So what IRS has been doing is providing that magic part of making a nice story in these proposals, and that's why their track record is really good, and the proposals they work on have an extremely high degree of success. Thanks to, again, Cheryl, her team, and all that, and now Meg. So Meg is going to talk about the funding opportunity program that she's coordinating, and here is Meg.
Thank you. Can you pull the PowerPoint up on this one, or is
Just
it
bring it
gonna
up.
be the- Excellent, thank you. Okay, so my name is Meg Sparling, and I am, as Ahmad said, in the interdisciplinary research support team within the Office of Research, and within that team, I coordinate the funding opportunities program. I also coordinate the limited submissions part of that program, which I'll talk about in a second. So, what is the Funding Opportunities Program? It assists researchers at UC Davis with identifying funding opportunities for their research primarily. And we recommend searching for research funding opportunities using 3 primary tools. There are a lot of different ways that you can find research funding opportunities, but these are the 3 that we really focus on researchers using or staff that are supporting researchers. First is the use of the Pivot database. So this is a database that is external to UC Davis, that is a very, very large database. Do you know how big it is? It's massive.
So I don't have a microphone, but
Yeah.
I think it's like 30 million.
30 million funding opportunities possibly.
Federal,
Federal, state, private.
research, service.
Yes. So yeah, you can find research funding opportunities. You can find support for organizing conferences and seminars. You can find travel funding. You can find funding for undergraduate research, and you can find postdoctoral awards for postdocs, and you can see all of the deadlines. Is that what you said? Oh yes. So yeah, I'm going to get to that. So you can, everyone, well, I'll talk about Pivot in a second. And then second is our own research funding system that we have developed. The Office of Research IT department has created this research funding system for us, which I'll describe in a second. And then finally, I, with the help of someone else on my team, generate every week weekly research funding update emails, which are emailed out to listservs. And if you subscribe to those listservs, you get an update every week of forthcoming or upcoming important research funding opportunities, both extramural and internal to UC Davis or the UC system. So I'll talk about those 3 really quickly. So Pivot, as I said, large external or extramural funding database that we subscribe to as an institution. So all UC Davis faculty, staff, and students can access it, though you need to first set up a login. You can't just use your Kerberos. You do have to set up a login and create a profile. But after that, what you can do, which I spend a lot of time training faculty and staff how to do this. And so if you have trouble with this, let me know and I can come in and show you how to do it. But basically you can set up saved searches based on criteria that you choose from the advanced search tool, where there's a lot of different criteria that you can select from. And then you save that search, and Pivot can then send you 1 email each week with a list of all of the new and updated funding opportunities that have been posted that week that meet your search criteria. And basically what this does is it automates your funding search process. So you don't have to go on all the time and look for things. You can train the system basically to look for things you're interested in for you. And then we are working, as Cassie mentioned to me just a second ago, we are working to now include internal funding opportunities in Pivot so that when researchers and support staff go in to look for funding opportunities, they will also be finding funding opportunities that are available at UC Davis specifically. And then we are also in the process of getting a contract with InfoReady Review, which is a part of Pivot. It's within that company. And that will be a platform where across the campus, people who offer internal funding can coordinate their selection process through this platform, so that not only will all of those competitions be in one place, but researchers can go to one specific place to see all of the internal funding opportunities that are available to them, which is something that we have not really had up until this point. So there's the link at the bottom. And as I said, if you have any problems or questions about Pivot, let me know. So the research funding system, as I said earlier, is a homegrown funding opportunity database that we developed 2012, so about 6 years ago. Yeah, Cassie is actually the one that developed it with some members of our IT unit, and it's amazing. So this is where the limited submission competitions are both announced and coordinated, and I'll talk about what that is in a second in case you don't know. But also the database promotes other funding opportunities that myself and a couple members of my team have identified as of interest and importance to our research community. So that's also a place where we promote funding opportunities. All right, and then finally, so we have these weekly research funding update emails that we produce each week for the UC Davis community that promote research funding opportunities in addition to related news announcements and events. We have 4 emails. So there's a general email, which goes out to over 1,600 people across the campus. This is the email where we promote the limited submission opportunities so that the community knows which opportunities are limited and need internal coordination. But it's also where we promote things. This is the email that really focuses on things like health and biomedical research funding opportunities, environmental and agricultural research funding opportunities, engineering and physical sciences. And then we have 3 additional emails that kind of focus in on specific target populations, I guess I would say. So we have an early career email, which is really targeted to junior investigators or people in the first 5 years or so of their tenure track careers. And then we have a social sciences email and a humanities email. And you can subscribe to these you can subscribe to any of them that interest you through our website, or if you have trouble finding the place to subscribe to them, just email me. My email address is at the end, and I'll put you on the lists. So I talked about, I keep mentioning limited submission. So for those of you who are watching at home who don't know what a limited submission is, so when you come across a request for proposals or a funding opportunity announcement, whatever it's called, and it contains language that restricts the number of proposals, applications, or letters of intent that an institution or organization can submit, then we call that a limited submission. So for these opportunities, this program, the limited submissions program that I coordinate, we have to perform a campus review and selection process. So I give some language just to kind of illustrate what I mean. So if the RFP includes a statement like only 1 application per institution is allowed, or organizations may only submit up to 3 proposals per deadline, this is a limited submission. So, and then I just picked an example. So this is a funding opportunity from NIH, the National Institutes of Health, for the Collaborative Program Grant for Multidisciplinary Teams, an RM1. And you can see down at the bottom, this red box. This is the language that tells me that I need to coordinate a competition across campus. It says only one application per institution per review cycle is allowed. So when you encounter a limited submission opportunity, the first thing that you should do is go to the research funding system, the system that I mentioned before, to find out if there is currently an open competition for this program. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And if you find it there, if it does appear that there is a competition either forthcoming or underway, then notify the PI that you are working with that there is a competition for this and they'll need to go through that process. And then if you don't see that program listed, which sometimes happens, I can't catch everything, there's a lot. So if you come across a program that you're pretty sure is a limited submission, but it's not on my list, then contact me and we'll sort it out. So this is what the research funding system looks like now. We actually went through a recent update. So now you will log into the system and all of the funding opportunities that are currently open will be listed, but then you can sort them by type. So you can pull it up so that you only see limited submissions, or you only see, so this under program type, this FOSSI, special interest. FOSSI stands for funding opportunity of special interest. And basically those are ones that we are just promoting. They don't actually require internal coordination. So that's what the system looks like, and that's where you can search for limited submission competitions and other funding opportunities. And then there's also a link in the gray box under other items of interest. There's a link to pivot to if you are not finding things that you're interested in and you want to make your search more general and take it out to pivot. So that's basically my program. If you need assistance finding research funding or helping the researchers that you work with find research funding, or if you're struggling with Pivot or you want to subscribe to the weekly emails but you can't find the place on our website to do that, then feel free to contact me. This is my personal email address. And then if you have questions related to limited submissions specifically, you can email me at limsubmissions@ucdavis.edu. And you can also call me. I'm almost always at my phone. And I, unlike other millennials, I don't mind talking on the phone. So otherwise, I'll take any questions that you might have. But thank you for inviting me.
Any questions in the room? I don't see any online.
Let's show her now. No questions? There has to be some questions somewhere. I guess, Meg, you did a great job. There's no questions. Yeah, this pivot, history of pivot is very interesting. It started, I mean, you saw that the website says pivot.cos.whatever.com. Used to be Community of Science long time ago, and is then going back to limited submission. Ages ago, our IT person used to keep track of the limited submissions, and there were, 15 years ago, they were under 100 on our list. Now, there are as many as they are. What it is basically the sponsors, they are transferring the responsibilities for screening proposals to the institutions. They are saying rather than sending us 25,000 proposals, just tell us what's your top proposals you are sending. That's how limited submission works, and you guys take care of it and choose the ones that should go forward. So no more questions. We can go to the next one. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Suggestion on there.
Yeah. So we do have one suggestion that maybe Meg and your group want to think about, but somebody's saying it would be nice to have like an SDPS class on Pivot and finding funding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will write that down and we will get on that.
Thank you, Meg. So let's see, James, manager of the contracts and grants accounting, is going to tell us all about cost sharing application.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to do a demo. This is not a trick. I got some emails wondering when the training was going to present. I'm going to do a demo, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to walk you through what the new system looks like and some of the different features. There is a full training module that is either in the LMS or just about in the LMS. We'll be sending out a link to that training as soon as it's ready to go. So you can really get in and see a lot more detail than I'm going to be able to go through today. The training is about 30 minutes or so walking through, and you can stop and kind of think about what's being said. So the screen now is showing the cost share application. This will be the replacement for the cost share tracking system. We had initially planned to release this early August. It's now looking more like it's to be early September before we actually get it out there. There's lots of moving parts going on. Well, again, I'll be sending an email with more detail as we start finalizing all of the dates and everything. Just to let you know, when the new system goes live, the old system will be shut down. So there's going to be a conversion process that we'll also be communicating with you. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the data that has been put in the old system, any transactions that have been accepted in the old system, those are going to be put into an archive. We'll have a DS report that'll allow you to pull that information up. And if you need to, take that information and incorporate it into an ongoing cost share report, we'll have you just make a single line entry in the new system to take care of all the data that's in the old system. More detail on that as we get there. Okay, so this is going to be tricky because I need to operate, and I don't know how I operate and hold the mic at the same time. You're going to hold the mic for? There's no little thingy. Okay. All right. So one mouse. Okay. Let me get my list of things that I wanted to share with you. Okay. First off.
I'm going to make sure they can never hear you.
They can't. Oh, that'd be good. Should I speak up? Can you guys hear me? Everybody? This is, I never know. Sacramento. All right. Can you hear me now? All right. So this is being conceptually, this is very similar to the existing system. This is still a tracking system, so that means you're still going to have your cost share expenses in whichever accounts you've recorded them in, and this system is simply going to point to those transactions and summarize them on a cost share report for a given project that you're working on. I'm sorry, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. I mean,
I'll be right here if you need.
I was worried I was going to be doing a lot of typing, but I'll limit that. Okay, first off, let's just take a look. The architecture is such that the screens will size depending for different devices. So it's, it's kind of optimized for mobile devices or whatever. So if I shrink it down, you can do it on your cell phone. Because that's what y'all want to be doing in the evening on your cell phone while you're. But more likely, maybe the faculty will be perhaps on a mobile device and will be able to log in and take care of it here. So it's very nice. It flows back and forth. The screen size up and down. The menus can be hidden to give you more workspace as you need it. The menus, I'm currently logged in as myself. So I have the administrative menus, cost share setup menu that won't be available to the users, campus users. Just to point out right now, in the current system, we in contract risk accounting have to complete a few setup steps in the cost share system. In the new system, you'll be able to hop in there prior to us even setting anything up As soon as we've set the award up in KFS and flagged as cost share, it'll be available in the new cost share application. So in this case, we can see that there's no commitment amount entered yet. So that just means we haven't come in here and set anything up, but that's okay. If you needed to, you could still come in and start working. This add labor criteria button would be available. You'd be able to start doing that. Okay, so that's what my perspective looks like, but I'm going to switch it over to a department user. So the menu will change a little bit. Maybe.
It's still trying to log in as principal investigator.
Principal name? No. It should have just gone. I love it when live demos. I can do this at my desk all day long, go in and out of different users. And okay. So thinking. Okay. I'm still in as me. I want to go in as somebody different. That should be okay. There we go. Okay. All right. So this is what, when you guys log in, you'll have these options. You'll have the manage cost share menu, and you'll have section to review and do the reports themselves. You have ability to work with funds that you have some kind of an account association with. So the user I'm in as right now does not have association with this fund, this Pfizer award. So if you have to be an account manager or fiscal officer, a delegate, those types of relationships to the award. But this user that I'm in now is a fund, like an account officer for fund 76A22. So the data is very dynamic. So you just do a quick little data entry or a little keystroke entry that'll bring up the fund that you're looking for. You could also, I could have also typed Gray Lady. If you know the name of the fund, you can put that in, and that'll help you narrow it down. So in this case now, you can see the menus have expanded a little bit, so there are more options available. Let's see, okay, so we need to, as you're setting up an award, in this case, this award, we have gone in centrally and said this award has a commitment of $15,000 of cost share. So that would be the target that we're trying to get to. It's still grouped in a couple of ways. So there are either labor transactions that you would be wanting to pick up or general ledger transactions, non-labor transactions. With the labor, we can come in and I'm just going to look at one that's been set up here. We could add one as well, but you can come in and say I need to pick up in this case, we're looking for the PI's effort on the project. It's been set up as a 5% commitment on the project. You can put in a title code to help you screen it down if you've got somebody that has different title codes involved and you only want to zero in on one specific title code. There's a field where you can put in what is in UC Path going to be called the earn code. This is what we currently call the DOS code. So if you have a specific DOS code, earn code, you can put that in. And if you would like, you can also pop up and there are advanced criteria if there's additional filtering down or limitations that you want to apply to the criteria, you can do that. Probably more helpful on the non-labor side, but possible here because I'm going to cancel that. And then you can set up as many, criteria as you need, depending on the individuals that are involved, or perhaps the time frames you want to look at. Similarly, on the general ledger, so here we've set up, we're going to do some cost sharing of project supplies. So for whatever range we're looking at, we name it whatever you want, project supplies to help you find it, the account that you want to pull those expenses from, supplies. So we are going to group things based on object consolidations in the new system. The old system has a little bit different groupings, but this will just be the normal object consolidations that you're probably familiar with. Supplies and expense, sub 3. You could come in and say, I want a specific object code. If there's some specific, expense types that you're looking for within sub 3 or within whatever the object consolidation is. And I meant to show you this back on though. So this is pulling up what would come up with the criteria that has been defined. As we're selecting, you'll go in, pay, at each individual pay period that you're looking at and pull in transactions. So based on the criteria that were defined, the system is finding a couple of lines, the salary and the fringe. There's a box up here that shows you what the institutional-based salary is inclusive of benefits, so that you know that that's what that person's salary is coming in. If this was a 5% effort, cost share effort commitment, then it does a calculation that says, well, 5% of 18,000 is $941. So that's how much you'd want to pick up if you just wanted to go straight with that 5%. You can bring in more or less depending on what's happening. Currently, we haven't selected or added anything. There's $12,000 available down here. We're still trying to get to 941. So the system helps you get where you're trying to go. All of those funky percentages and stuff in the old system are gone. Thank goodness. So just for kicks, let me go ahead and click this one. And in fact, so for example, this line has $8,000 available on it. Our target is 941.30. So I can pick up just 941.30. So we're where we want to be for this line as we're going through. Just done. Okay. We also have a page for what we're calling non-ledger transactions. This would be hopefully relatively rare that we're using this. This would be third party. Well, there's a tab for third party, so you would just do a quick entry and hit add, describe what it is, where did it come from, how much is it, same types of rules as we use currently with third party. You need to have some kind of support from whoever is providing that third-party support, a letter from, Ford Motor Company, I don't know, whoever it is that's making a third-party contribution so that you can support that entry. There's also a tab for university contributions. So we largely anticipate this is where we will log in waived indirects so that we can capture that in the system rather than currently we just kind of pencil it in. Here we'll go ahead and incorporate it into the report in the system itself. So I just set one up for $5,000 waived indirects. for whichever time period we wanted to be looking at. Okay, so that's how you get all the information into the system. There's another review page. You can actually get to these reviews in a couple of different ways. I was pretty much doing the same thing up here. This is more summary level, kind of all-encompassing. But again, you can come through, look for the transactions that we've been picking up, select transactions, deselect transactions, get them on the report. Once you're happy, once you think you're happy with the transactions you've picked up, you can come over to generate finalized reports. There's a button to create a PDF. You don't really need to do that unless you want to have something to print out or save separately. When we finalize the reports in the system, they will be locked down and available as this system as the the repository. Here we got a report with multiple lines on it. Okay, now I didn't talk about, I'm afraid, change user. I skipped over something I wanted to point out back on my screen, or the central office screen. So when we set them up, the system is going to have some built-in messaging to help keep us on track with these. So when we set them up, we're going to say what kind of reporting we in contracts and grants accounting need to do. Do we need to do quarterly reporting, final, whatever? So this one has been set up saying we're going to need a final report. We're going to need, we're going to send a reminder on August 1st, and we're going to want the report back to us by August 20th, probably because we're going to need to submit to the sponsor by August 31st or something like that. So the system will send a message out to the fiscal officer and copy the PI and say, hey, we need you to hop on this, please, get this report into us. As the fiscal officer working in here, you will I got to go back, okay. So what you'll do is after you've picked up all the transactions, you'll be able to look at what the report has on it, decide, yep, that's what you want. If it's not, you can go back, review, and deselect, select different transactions, change the dollar amount that you're picking up, percentages, whatever it is, until you get to the report that you feel is right. When you're good with that, you'll finalize the report. You give you a message, hey, you're finalizing it. And what that will do is send a message to the PI saying your cost share report has been finalized by your administrator. Please review and approve the report. So the PI will get an email, click on the link in the email, and if I am now the PI, I'm logged in as the PI. When you clicked on the email would have brought them basically to this screen. So the same thing, they can look at it and say, ooh, yep, looks good, I want to finalize it, or you can go back and have additional changes made. So they click finalize. They're good with it. That then sends a message back to Contracts and Grants Accounting. Our fund manager in Contracts and Accounting says, okay, cool, cost share report is finalized, PI has approved it. I can now pick up that data and put it in our financial reporting back to the sponsor. And I've not been looking at your faces to see if, okay. So that's that functionality. So Okay, so then I guess the last possible step in the process would be to go back in as contracts and grants accounting. If you have finalized a report and then you look at it and say, oops, I didn't mean to do that, you can contact us and we will be able to unlock the report so we can go back in and make revisions. Hopefully that's before we've submitted any information to the sponsor, but you know, we do have the flexibility to come back and make corrections if needed. There's a log so we can see what reports have been completed for the project. So historical, all the ones that we've done. And under this button, there's a button here that says close cost share fund. So when we're done with the fund, we'll close it and that'll truly lock down and seal all of the reports as closed. And I just realized there was something else I should have pointed out. The system will let you know if transactions have already been picked up on other projects. So that's one of the key controls of the system, is to make sure that we only use and only cost share expense one time. So these red buttons say, hey, you can't cost share it here because you cost shared it somewhere else. And in this system, it tells you where it has been picked up. This can be really helpful, especially if we're crossing, if you've got multiple departments involved and different folks are working, collaborating. This will help guide you to where it's been picked up. So similarly, there's something, you got a negative amount, you can't cost share a negative amount. So the system tries to help keep us picking up only allowable transactions and it's taking care of a lot of the idiosyncrasies that we have in the current system. I think those are the highlights that I wanted to share with you. You have any questions or thoughts?
We have 3 questions.
Okay.
Okay, so can you repeat that?
Yes, I will repeat that.
All right, can reminders be sent to the account associate as well?
Technically, yes. I don't think we can look into it. I'm sorry, the question, I repeat the question. The question is, can reminders be sent to the account associate as well? Currently, it's not programmed that way, so when we go live, it won't be there. If that's the functionality that we get a lot of feedback will be helpful, we can certainly look into adding that. One concern would be there can often be a lot of associates, and do we want 40 people? Okay, so that's a good question. I'll note it and we can look into it.
And I have a mic now.
Okay.
So the second question, is there any training or outreach planned for faculty?
We will be communicating it out that the system is there. We don't have a dedicated faculty training module. If you know, I think we're hoping that department administrators are going to help us be the liaison with the faculty to help them work through the system. We believe it's pretty straightforward. They get the message. You know, click on the link. Your report is ready to go. They can see the report, work with their administrator if they've got questions or concerns, and go from there.
And the third question is, can PIs approve reports electronically versus a wet signature?
Should I repeat the question? No, I guess
No,
you've already said it. I started to repeat it. PIs must approve the report electronically. We are not passing paper and PDF files and all that stuff back and forth anymore. So that's why they're going to get the link in the email that'll take them right where they need to go to be able to review and approve that report. Okay. All right, so that's our, that's our new system. Again, probably early September is where we're looking right now. We'll send additional communications as we really start nailing down the dates and give you some instructions for how to transition from the old cost share tracking system to the new cost share application. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, James. Okay. I think, Grace, you want to talk about updates from the award side. Thank you, Grace.
Good morning. So I'm Grace Liu, Associate Director of the awards side here in Sponsor Programs. I have two announcements related to NIH progress reports. So these were questions that our office got, so thought I would pass on the tidbits to you guys. The first one is regarding NIH training grants, so our T grants. Okay, this is just a reminder that it is our PI's responsibility to track which projects their trainees are on, and also the PI's responsibility to ensure that the grantee, that the project the grantee is, it's also your responsibility to track the IACUC and IRB approval dates for the protocols for the projects your trainees are working on. So Sponsor Programs is not going to keep track of the IACUC and IRB protocol numbers and approval dates for your trainees' projects. You as the PI should track that. And you will be asked that question. Actually, Ginger, come on up.
I was going to say, they have to identify it on their own.
Yes, so yeah. You will be asked this on your RPPR. So on your training grant RPPR, the grantee will provide the appropriate IRB and IACUC approval dates for the relevant individual protocols under which the trainees are working. And when it says the grantee shall provide, it means the PI will provide and submit. Okay, so yes, go ahead.
And just that our office will need to submit that type of RPPR. Can't be submitted by the PI.
Right, okay. Yes, thanks, Melanie. So just another reminder, on the T grant RPPRs, the PI is going to enter it and then release it to Sponsor Programs to submit. And hopefully you are going to select your correct award analyst that's assigned to your department. Okay, so for the med school right now, that's Ginger Snyder. For vet school, that's Lisa Parker. So you guys know which are your award analysts. So yes, we will take a look at that RPPR and hopefully catch that information, but please provide that information on your training grant. And another reminder about your NIH RPPRs is in regards to enrollment tables for human subjects. So for any NIH project that has human subjects on it, please remember the enrollment tables must be submitted prior to your RPPR submission. I will go through the steps. So the process for submitting RPPRs with human subject enrollment tables are, you must first log into ERA Commons, and then you select the human subjects link under the award status. Okay, that link will take you into Assist. And in Assist, you are going to complete the enrollment tables. And then you change the status from work in progress to submit. Okay, at that point, you will notify your award analyst to submit the enrollment tables. So then we will go into Assist and submit the enrollment tables. At that point, your enrollment tables will be pulled into your RPPR upon submission. Okay, so if you don't have our office submit it for you, your RPPRs will not pull that information from Assist. So once the RPPR is final, you can submit either directly to the NIH or route to your assigned award analyst, and then follow up with an email confirming that the RPPR is ready for submission. So basically all of this is to remind you that when you have an NIH project that has human subjects, you must first have your award analyst submit your PI's enrollment table prior to your PI submitting the RPPR. So the enrollment table information will be pulled into the RPPR. Okay, so any questions on that?
Is there a test after this?
Is there a test after this? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess there is no updates from the proposal team. Anything else from accounting or? No, Mike says no. No? No indirect cost, huh?
Government silent.
Government is silent on the issue of indirect costs at this point. Does it mean indirect is lower? No. It's steady. We are in the, the time that we have our provisional rate. So stay tuned. Maybe in the next couple of years, we would hear an update on that. Okay. Questions from online.
Okay, so we have a couple questions from online. One question about COI certification. We recently received an NSF award, and the PI and one of the co-PIs certified their COIs without problems, but one of the other co-PIs needed to be assigned the PI status to be able to certify. In what circumstances will the PI need to be assigned the PI status? Is there anything the department can do at the proposal stage to avoid this? Just want to check this out for easier process for PI COI certification.
So Jessica from compliance is going to try to answer that.
Yeah, for folks online, I'm Jessica Trask from Research Compliance and Integrity, and we manage the COI system. So the question said that this was an NSF grant? Yes. So typically for NSF, it is a Form 800, and there isn't any special access that's required in the system. The only time that PI certification comes into play is for a Form 700, which it needs to be filled out only by the principal investigator, no other members of the research staff. But the Form 700U is typically for privately funded research. Now, with that being said, I'm not sure exactly what the nature of the mix-up was. But at proposal stage, the department can certainly contact us and make sure that all the appropriate access has been provided. Another sort of potential source of snafus that we've been seeing is for folks that are doing a Form 800 for human subjects research, where all of the co-investigators need to be included on the form. So, for example, in a privately funded clinical trials study, you'll see a Form 700U, which is filled out by the PI, and then a Form 800, which needs to be completed by the PI and all of the co-investigators. The PI is the individual who creates that form, will fill it out, and then will add all of the co-investigators to the project, and then basically hits a submit button, which creates the Form 800 for all of those co-investigators. Sometimes we've seen the situation they describe when an individual hasn't been added to that list of investigators, therefore it hasn't created the form for them. But for any questions like that, they can always email, or_COI@83.ucdavis.edu, either at award when you're trying to fill out the paperwork, or of course at the proposal stage, or even when you're thinking about submitting a proposal, and we'll make sure that everyone has the appropriate access.
Thank you, Jessica.
I have a question for James. Will you be providing screenshots of what the faculty see in the cost share tracking system to help the department admins better support their faculty?
The faculty will see all the same screens.
Okay, so the views are the same.
The views are the same. And in the training module, it'll go step by step with each step a little more detail than what I was able to show. So when they go through that, they can see.
And that'll be in the limited, or the LMS for the SDPS classes? Yes, perfect. Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Okay, I think there is no more presentations. Any questions regarding anything you heard or anything else you want to talk about? Either here or on campus? It's 9:30. If you don't have questions, we are going to stop. No more questions? Okay. Thank you very much for stopping by. See you next month, and let's go take care of the business we are in.